Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be answering some common questions I get asked as a fat loss coach. So I put a little Q&A up over on my Instagram story and I thought we could go through the questions together and sort of spill the tea on commonly asked questions. There's a few different bits and pieces around like fat loss, or some social life ones, or some training. So I'll just kind of go through and we can have like a little bit of a catch up and answer these questions. So one of the questions that was like repeatedly coming up was, why am I not losing weight even though I'm eating healthy? Now, what we need to understand is calories are energy, okay? And what it really comes down to is energy in versus energy out. So two people could eat the same calories and the results can be completely different because it is really personal to each person. My biggest advice would be, I actually have a video explaining the easiest way to work out your calories, but take your body weight in pounds, times it by 10, start that off as your calorie number, okay? And then you want to be tracking your food, whether that be through portions, through measurements, through using a meal tracker app like MyFitnessPal, and make sure you're being accurate. You can eat healthy all you want, but if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not going to lose weight, okay? Why does my weight go up overnight? Now, this can be a really tricky one for women when they join my program, because we actually do daily weigh-ins, which for some people feels really scary. But the reason we do that is so that we can take an average across the week. As a woman, your weight will fluctuate so much for so many different reasons. Like, I know myself, when I'm on my cycle, it goes up 1 to 2 kilos. This is completely normal for a lot of women. And if you're only tracking like one day a week, say as well, if it's on like a Sunday or a Monday after socializing at the weekend, your weight is always going to look like it's up, when actually you could have had drops throughout the week that you've missed. So I would advise minimum 3 times per week and add those up, divide by 3. That's your result for the week. And then you would do the same for the week and the next week. And then as long as you're dropping 4 to 0.8 per week, you're on track. Now, I give a range there. The less weight you have to lose, the less you'll be able to lose on a weekly basis. So that's where a pound is realistic for most people. 2 pounds if you've got a bit more weight to lose, because you can eat more and lose weight quicker. Can I lose fat without giving up carbs? Hell to the yes. I could not do that ever again. When I first started my fitness journey, I was very much on the protein and veg diet. Could not do that now. Honestly, carbs are your main source of energy. If you don't have carbs, you will feel very low in energy. I think people think no carb works so well because you get a big water drop when you go no carb, and obviously they are taking up a substantial amount of your calories. So like, people drop weight really quickly, but then as soon as you reintroduce them, you just gain the weight back. So instead, monitor your portion, reduce the portion. Is going to be much more effective longer term, especially if you want to reintroduce them at some stage. Like certain things, like, opting for no carb at your salad for lunch or something like that is fine. But just if you're going solely no carb, I just don't think that's I don't think there should be any major restrictions like that. How long does it realistically take to lose 10 kg? Again, it depends how much weight you have to lose. If you think about going from 60 to 50, you want to do like 10 divided by 0.4, it's 25 weeks. Like, it's going to be a lot longer. You can obviously play around with your steps and your training to help make that move a little bit quicker. But if you're like 60 kg, which is 132 pounds, your deficit calories are going to be around about 1,1400, depending on your height. So it doesn't give you that much wiggle room. So that's where I'm saying, like, if you don't have as much to lose, it's okay for it to be a little bit slower. If you're someone who has a lot more weight to lose, you could lose 10 kg in 3 months. So it is very relative person to person. I think this is why you can't compare your journey to other people, because we have that a lot in our coaching, where women will compare themselves to each other, but everybody's got different lives, everybody's got different availability in how many steps you can do, how many workouts you can do, what your food structure looks like. That is really what it comes down to. If you can be super strict and you have a lot of time to get extra steps in, do lots of workouts, and are not fussed on socializing when you're doing your transformation, you could get there like a lot quicker. Just depends what you're willing to sacrifice, I always say. What's more important, calories or protein? Calories. Yeah, calories. But your protein target is important because you don't want to be wasting away your muscle mass, okay? So you want to try and maintain as much muscle mass as possible. That's why we strength train in a deficit and try and keep protein intake in a good spot, because we want the body to take away the fat, not the muscle. Why do I lose weight during the week and gain it back on weekends? The easiest way I can describe this is like, if you imagine, I always use this as an example, but like, if you imagine 2 plates of food, okay? This one has 2,000 on it and this one has 1,300 on it. The 2,000 calorie plate is going to be much heavier. The 1,300 calorie plate is going to be lighter. When you have like a big meal or eat a lot over a shorter period of time when your body's been used to less, you are going to be heavier on the scales, but it doesn't mean you've automatically gained body fat. It usually is just digestion, bloating, etc. And usually within 1 to 2 days, it's back down to where it was previously. So just try not to get too caught up on that. That's where, like, if you are someone who socializes a lot on your journey, just make sure you're doing multiple weigh-ins across the week so you can see. Another one here is like, can I still drink alcohol and lose body fat? You absolutely can, because again, it comes down to calories, but it's not going to be as effective, because when there is alcohol in the body, your body is treating that as a toxin. So it focuses on breaking that down first. So while there's alcohol in the system, your fat burning is going to be put on hold to prioritize breaking down the toxin. So if you're consistently drinking, your results are going to be a little bit slower, but it is absolutely still possible. I would just say, like, try and keep it to like once per week as opposed to multiple times throughout the week. Staying on track when eating out is going to be making sure that like breakfast and lunch on those days is like high volume, low calorie. So you're feeling nice and full, you've got enough food in there, but you're keeping a bit of a buffer for the evening. I always say try and just go for one course. It's usually just the multiple courses and this, like the starters, the bread, the main, the dessert, those are the things that usually add up. And if you can go for like a high protein option, so either like steak and veg, or the salmon with rice and potatoes, or the sea bass with the potatoes and veg, like that kind of vibe is going to be much lower in calories. If you're going out and like smashing, you know, a large pepperoni pizza, wine, starter, etc., you are going to probably come out of your deficit, let's be realistic. But if you can go out, enjoy the socializing, stick to a spirit diet mixer, or just have one glass of wine and then go for like a lighter option for dinner, you will get much better results. How do I stop starting again on Monday? I think you need to stop viewing this as like a short-term thing. If you want to get the weight off and keep it off, the things that you're putting into place need to be achievable for longer periods of time. So if you're doing it and thinking, I absolutely hate this, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep this up, then you need to reevaluate your plan and probably change it so that you can see yourself sticking to it for longer, okay? What do I do after I overeat? Nothing. Don't do anything. You'll probably feel quite full, so just wait till you're hungry to eat again. And that's not me saying starve yourself, but like the next day, like just genuinely wait till you start to feel hungry and your body will have digested. You'll feel better for that instead of stuffing yourself. I promise you, like, overeating will happen on this journey. The key thing, and I say this all the time, it's not about falling off the horse, it's about how quickly you get back on the horse after you fall off is the most important part. Like, do you let that spiral into like 2, 3, 4 days, or do you just get back on it the next day? You just get back on it the next day. That's the most important thing. How do I handle holidays without ruining my progress? This should be a USP of my brand, because actually most of the time our clients come back lighter, the same weight, or like max 1 kilo heavier, which I always think is incredible. And it's a really simple tip that I use, and it's 2 out of 3, right? So 2 meals, same as at home, 1 meal full enjoyment. What typically happens when we go on holiday is we go full send, and I used to do this all the time. Like, I remember going on holiday and the shorts that I would wear on night 1 would not fit me on night 10. And that was like horrible. Honestly, they wouldn't even do up. I remember that so vividly on my first girls' holiday. It was just, yeah. So I think recognizing that, yeah, of course you can go full send if you want to, if you think that's your idea of enjoyment, but to be honest, if you think about how you felt at the start of your journey and why you wanted to lose, 6 kilos, 10 kilos, 20 kilos, whatever it might be, you don't want to go back to that place. Like, that's what keeps me, like, in the result I'm in, is like the pain of like feeling that self-conscious and not liking what I'm wearing, having nothing to wear, nothing fits. That nothing's worth going back to that for me personally. I can still enjoy myself without going to the extreme. So what I say there is 2 out of 3 meals, right? So might be you love a breakfast on holiday. Like, I love a breakfast, okay? So it might be that you full send on breakfast and then lunch and dinner is balanced. So like lunch might be a salad, dinner might be the sea bass, for example. Still absolutely delicious. Or it might be, I want to go full send at dinner. Okay, cool. Breakfast is yogurt and fruit or 2 eggs on toast. Lunch is a chicken salad. Lovely. Or you could just do 2 meals, so like brunch and then dinner. Another good tip is like whoever you're on holiday with, just try and share, like we'll share a starter, have our own mains, and then if we do want a dessert, we'll maybe share something, or go for a little walk and get like a gelato or like a froyo or something like that. Can be a really good balance. And then doing that, second thing for holidays is going to be keeping your steps up. Now this could just be like a nice long walk in the morning or in the evening, whatever. You don't need to be like exercising. You can exercise if you want. It does massively help when you're eating more, and obviously you are going to be lying down for most of the day. So keeping your steps up, and then 2 out of 3 meals balanced, basically. Let's do some training ones. Is walking enough for fat loss? Yes, it actually is, but I wouldn't recommend. Should I train differently around my period? This is like personal preference. You don't need to train differently. I would just say dial back the intensity a little bit. Some people need to fully rest. Some people push through. I definitely feel weak, but I still train. I don't like train specifically around my cycle. How many times per week should I train? Minimum twice, ideally 3. Like 3 is like perfect, because that's like a really good solid amount. If you can do 4, amazing. But I find 3 is like really easy for most people to achieve once they get in the rhythm of it, and it's going to provide you with the best results. And for the best split, I think it does determine on what you want to achieve. Like right now I'm doing like 4 lowers with 2 of those having a little bit of upper sprinkled in, and that's because I'm trying to grow my glutes. Glutes need like 3 times per week. If you really want to build your upper body, you might want to do 2 lower, 2 upper days. If it's 3 days, I would say like a push, pull, full body could be good. So like a full body push, full body pull, and then like rest day, and then another full body session. So you're hitting everything. But there's not really like a special split that works for everyone. This is where you want to kind of look at what you want to achieve and think about it. Like wherever you want to grow muscle, you want to pump more volume in. So that means doing more exercises on that muscle group. Do I need to do cardio to lose fat? No, but it can be a really useful tool. Like if you would prefer to eat more and you can get yourself up to like 14k steps and like 4 training sessions a week with a little bit of cardio sprinkled in there, you'll be laughing at how high you can keep your food intake. Is 1200 calories too low? So actually, contrary to popular belief, I actually hate that online, because like I'm like a 52 kilo, 5'1" female. Like I do have to go to extremes when I want to get lean. And 1200 is normal for me. So it's very relative. Do I think 8 to 8 kilo women should be eating 1200 calories? No, absolutely not. Like if we do like, so their maintenance should be like their deficits should be like 1900, which a woman watching this would be like, there's no way I could eat that and still lose weight. But I promise you, you're just not eating enough of the right things. And eating too much of the wrong things, so you're not actually feeling full and satisfied, and probably there's errors happening across the week that is keeping you stuck. You should really like not need to go that low, unless you are like 60-ish kilos or under. Why do I crave sugar at night? You probably crave sugar at night because 1, it might be a habit. You're used to settling in on the sofa, getting all snuggly, watching the TV. So like your brain's like, oh, I usually have a chocolate bar at this time. Let's go get a chocolate bar. You need to kind of fight through those urges, do something else in those moments, replace it with a different snack, have a herbal tea, etc., to break down the habit. Could also be that you're not eating enough during the day, so you're genuinely not satisfying your needs. Your protein's too low and you're not getting enough volume in there. Volume would be your fruits and veggies. Should I cut out snacks? Personal preference. Some people feel like they need a chocolate bar a day. You can include that. My recommendations for clients is usually, rather than like 500 calories of snacks, have another meal, or have like a bagel thin with some cooked chicken, lettuce, tomato, etc. It's much more filling than a packet of crisps, and you will find that you won't need to snack as much. I actually think the most important thing is more time in your structure of meals throughout the day. So like, what time can you push breakfast until, say 10 o'clock? And then you would have lunch at like 1, maybe have like a mid-afternoon snack at like 3ish. It's usually the danger zone for most people. And then dinner would be like 5:30, 7. And like you'd probably be able to still have a piece of fruit or like 100-calorie chocolate bar or something like that in there. Why do I feel hungry when I try to diet? Too extreme, not eating the right stuff, not thinking about the structure of your meals. Like, I rarely feel hungry in my deficit because I really do stack the volume. Like, you're going to feel a little bit of hunger, but it should only be like when you wake up or maybe when your next meal is approaching. Like, you shouldn't feel hungry all day. And if you do, you're just not getting enough volume in there, to be honest. How do I stop emotional eating? This is a hard one. It is a hard one, and when you're used to that, but I think it gets to a point where you just know that it no longer serves you, and you just have to find that comfort in other things, like replace it. So find comfort in your going for a walk to actually de-stress, clear the head, to strength train, to take your like anger out on the machines instead of the food. It is going to be tough. Like, I'm not saying it's not. These are habits you've had built in for many, many years. But if you're determined and willing to do it, I always say it's like talking yourself off a ledge in your head. Like, I do it like still sometimes where it's like, do I actually need that? No, I don't. I just really want it, but I can do without it. I'll have this instead. And like being strong enough to actually almost argue with yourself within your head. I sound like a crazy person, but like, if you know, you know. And I know this will be going on, but right now you're just giving in whenever you have these urges. Whereas if you can actually talk yourself down and have something else, do something else, that's how you need to fight through it. And every time you do, you'll build up that little discipline muscle in your brain. How do I stop finishing my kids' leftovers? Just chuck them straight in the bin. Again, this is like a reflex. Like, it's like a habit you've just built in. Like, you just don't want to see waste. And I think that often comes from like us growing up as well, isn't it? Like, don't want to see waste or don't want to see things go to waste. But honestly, it's not going to serve you and it will hinder your results. So in the bin. How do I build discipline? Same thing. Building discipline comes from doing the hard shit, doing the stuff that no one else wants to do on repeat, doing it when you don't want to, doing it when you're tired, doing it when you just can't be arsed. That's what builds discipline. You're like relying on your habit instead of your motivation. That's like my biggest advice, is just do it anyway. The mood, follow the plan, as Layla Hormozi would say. How do I maintain once I've lost it? Many people cannot maintain their weight loss results. Many people get fed up before they even achieve their full result that they wanted to achieve. It's just like the stats, but key to maintaining your weight loss is, and there's a few different opinions around this, but I find gradually bringing calories back up and getting people used to that. They do say you don't need to reverse diet if you've not been on extreme calories, like you shouldn't just pile the weight back on. But I know myself, like if I go from 1300 straight to 1900, like I do see a surge on the scales. It does settle, it absolutely does, but I just find that really freaks women out. So what I like to do is a gradual increase of like 150 to 200 calories per week until like weight is pretty steady. And then once you've been at that, say 1900 for a couple of weeks, you'll usually start to see the weight start to level or settle down. And then you can push up a little bit further. I personally think most women, 1750, 1800 during the week, and then leeway at the weekends is the best way to go personally, because there's always going to be more fun over the weekend, right? And that's what causes you to gain weight gradually over a period of time anyway. How do women eat loads and stay slim? Build muscle, babes. Build muscle. I've been on, 2,200 calories for the last 8 weeks. I think I've gained a kilo. And I've had like multiple off-plan meals, like at least once or twice per week. So build muscle. Muscle increases your metabolic rate, right? Which basically means that you burn more calories at rest when you have more muscle mass. So as a woman, you'll lose 1% of muscle mass per year. We're actively keeping protein high and strength training to failure to build that muscle back up, okay? So that's going to be the main thing. Also, these women just don't have a massive appetite. Like, they're not having multiple treats per week, multiple bars of chocolate. Like, they're just not. It's the reality. And I think once you get out of the habit of doing those things, I just don't really crave or eat those things. Like, yeah, I'll have, the odd thing here and there, but it's just not part of my day-to-day life anymore, to be honest. And that's not something I miss. Am I heavier now than in my 20s? This is such a common one, honestly. I just think stresses of life. Like, there's nothing physiologically going on in your 30s that should slow down your ability to lose weight. Nothing drastically has happened then. Like, maybe when you're in your 60s, if you've never strength trained, etc., you have got a substantial amount of muscle mass that's been lost at that stage and metabolism potentially slowing down. But at 30, it's just stress, more socializing, more stress, higher pressure job. It's just harder, or feels harder, I should say. It's not actually harder, but it does take more dedication from you because of those external stresses. Do detoxes ever work? I mean, it depends what you're on about, really. Like, those stupid, tea drinks and all that, no. But the things that, I remember I did a juice diet once and I literally lost about 5 kilos, but you just gain it back as soon as you eat normally. So it's just absolutely pointless. Absolutely pointless. I'm just trying to see if there's any others that I should go through, but I think that pretty much covers the majority of people who would have questions. So yeah, I hope this one has been helpful. And if you are, a busy woman who wants to drop body fat without starting over every single Monday, there's a link in my bio to an inquiry form. Also, head over to my Instagram, give me a wee follow there. I do post tips daily. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.